Yo, yo, yiggity yo. Welcome back to Zillennial Support Group podcast. It is a podcast, not just a
I'm
group.
sorry.
We don't meet in person. Marriya fucked up last time. It's okay. I forgive her. We all forgive her. Um,
Thank you for the
Penance was
forgiveness.
paid, so. Anyways, um, so last week we talked about the Super Hulock
Last
fandom.
week,
Last week. If
5
you
minutes
notice by
ago,
the visuals, if you're watching on YouTube, it's the same exact day. It's like 4 minutes later.
I took off
Um,
my shirt and I changed my necklace.
and then I talked about my work anxiety. And
hmm
then we started the second episode. So we're doing a follow-up where after we talked about Supernatural and Doctor Who and Sherlock, which sort of like touch on supernatural themes or like realities apart from the
Yeah,
ones we exist
supernatural
in.
touches on supernatural a little bit.
But also like Doctor Who and like, the timey-wimey theory,
hmm
hypothesis stuff, hypothetical stuff, I don't know, science. Anyways, we thought we'd aside from, Tumblr fan culture and like that sort of media discussion, we thought we'd discuss our own personal experiences with the supernatural. So we
For
never really
true
went
fans.
over the premise of the TV shows we talked about last week. But Supernatural is like a TV show about these two brothers who like hunt supernatural creatures that are like hurting people, murdering
Hunt the
people.
creatures that go bump in the night.
Yeah. We could like insert the little like recap
Saving
Carry On My
people,
Wayward Son premise.
hunting things, the family
Killing people,
business.
hunting things. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I totally forgot about
I think it's on my shirt.
that intro. Yeah, also we can show our shirts again. Ooh, oh my god, it is on your shirt. That's amazing. But yeah, I've definitely seen that shirt at Hot Topic before. But
I think before I
um
said killing people, hunting things. They don't kill humans. Usually.
wait, saving people,
Yeah, saving
hunting
people.
things. Yeah, they save humans. Um
Unless it's unavoidable.
but yeah, they pull on a lot of like real life cultural mythologies about
Mhm.
like urban legends or ghost stories or like um that kind of stuff. It's sort of like it touches on this it leans more into the supernatural than like a show like X-Files does, where there's still
Mhm.
like a scientific basis to otherworldly things.
Yeah.
Also X-Files, huge fandom I was a part of on Tumblr. And that was mostly like late 2014 into college. So interesting timeline. But besides the point, we wanted to discuss our own sort of like supernatural experiences that were akin to the Winchester brothers, any ghosties we've met. So I have a very spiritual mother, and Marriya was a tour guide in a very haunted building. So
Yeah.
I feel like together we have a good mix of experiences with the supernatural. But with that being said, Marriya, would you like to share any experiences with the group?
Suddenly we are a group.
Right?
Are we a podcast as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think um like the first time that there was really like anything super like supernatural was like in college because we went to like a
Oh,
really
interesting. Because
yeah.
they say you're more susceptible to supernatural energies when you're a child.
See, I don't think like I think my house was built in like the 80s. And
My
so I
house was
think
built in the 80s too.
oh, okay. Well, I don't
Well,
like
I feel like my ghosts aren't ancient, or not ancient, but like old.
mhm.
They're more modern.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like your ghosts are very colonial.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think like my home base was like okay. And then like I went to college and that was when things so I lived I think my first building there was fine.
Mm.
Um the second building like was rumored to be haunted because they had like the top floor used to be dorms and then like, they said, like, something bad happened, and then they
Oh,
blocked
yeah.
that all
Well,
off, and then, like, every Halloween, the lights turned on and stuff, and they did.
aw,
Um, and, like, we would have things happen, which, like, it could just be, like, a technical, like, error, because like, you have the Snapchat filters, and it's, like, 2 people, and then it would, like, always
yeah.
pop up right
But I mean,
behind me.
supernatural energies do mess with technological frequencies, though.
And then, like, my friend, one time she was, like, about to go take a shower, and she put her phone on the bed, and she was just about to, like, leave, and then the phone, like, played the song that, starts with, like, "Hello, like, is there anybody out there?" And she, like, freaked out at that, but
Wow.
then I think, like, at the same time, I was when I started working at, like, the haunted building, I think that was, like, really when I started
Mm.
getting more in depth with, like, hauntings and stuff, and so, like, we have a crypt right under the floor, and so, like, there would occasionally be, like, handprints,
Wow.
there, or, like, drawers would open, there was one, like, portrait of one, really racist guy who I think got
Hmm.
murdered. That's my theory.
Kinda had it coming though, right?
Yeah, I think he was poisoned,
Ooh,
but, like,
ooh, maybe a woman did it. They
well, no,
say
because the whole
poison
thing
is
was,
a
like,
woman's touch.
he was an asshole, he was very, like, racist and sexist, and he had a whole things that, like, we can't survive without slavery, and he got married very late to the apothecary's daughter, and
Oh.
on their honeymoon to go to Paris, he got sick of, like, pneumonia, which I think could, like, be poison, and the second that they got to Paris, he died.
Amazing.
And,
I
and
love
so
when
I really think that he was poisoned, that's my personal theory, but,
yeah,
like,
that makes
anytime
sense.
that his portrait is moved in the building, doors
Mm,
start locking, things start happening.
wow.
I spent, like, one night there, and, we slept, like, above the basement where the crypt is, and it was like there was, like, a bunch of, like, drunken singing from below the floor, and so it, like, kinda sounded like they were partying under there, and, like, we had to, like,
Mm.
check the whole building to make sure that no one was actually in the building, but everyone heard it as well, and, I was very scared, and so I brought, like, my stuffed animal with me,
Aw.
and then I was, like, really afraid, and my stuffed animal tiger was possessed, and so, like, my roommate
Oh
was, like,
my god.
asleep, and I'm in our dorm room, and I just, like, whispered to, like, my tiger, "If you're
Aw.
possessed, blink once," and he didn't, so I think we're okay,
Yeah, I think you're
um,
good.
but, yeah, so that was, like, a weird thing, and then I we did, like, some other things late at night for work there, and everyone was like, "Oh, I don't believe in ghosts," and then we, like, heard a bunch of doors
No.
slam when we were the only ones in the
Yeah.
building, and I was like, "Skeptics, where we at now?" Um,
Yeah.
and then let me see what else, yeah, and then yeah, it was just, like, I think after that, well, then I went to, like, NYU for a summer program, and Um, I was living in this building. I was, like, one of the only people in this building
Oh.
because, like, the summer classes were allowed to get into, like, the dorm earlier than, like, the other people who
Mhm.
were doing, like, internships or something and renting, dorm rooms through NYU. So I was, like, one of the only people in the building, and, um, the first thing I think I noticed was, um, that, like, there was one floor with the, like, elevator, and it's, like, sometimes it would start shaking at that point, or, like, I would get in the elevator with, like, a full battery on my phone, and then
Oh,
suddenly it
wait,
would just,
I
like,
think
all
I
go.
remember you told me a
Mhm.
story about living
Yeah,
there too.
and, but I was, like, living alone because all of my roommates, like, I would get an email that was like, "You're getting a roommate," and every single week they wouldn't show up, and so I didn't get an email until, like, the
Wow,
3rd
yeah.
week of my, like, 4-week program, and, and so that was just, like, very strange, and so I was in my room alone, and I was blasting, music by a bad comedian, who's
Oh.
a rapist, and we don't talk about it,
Oh.
and his song was about Molly Ringwald. Shout out to, Silvana's, roommate in her
Yeah.
program,
TBT.
that we discussed in part 1. Go check it out. Um, and, so I was blasting this song about Molly Ringwald that was like, "I love Molly Ringwald. I love, like, the color of her hair," or something. And then, it was also I think the first thing that I did when I got to NYU, was I walked to, like, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, building. That was, like, where that, like, big fire started, and
Oh.
everyone, like, jumped out and, like, died and stuff, and so, like, it felt, like, really cold around there, and I had written this,
Wow.
like, short story about it, like, 3 years before, and I had sent it to a bunch of places, and nobody had responded,
Wow.
and that week that I visited there, someone offered to publish it, and, like, from,
Wow.
like, 3 years before, and
Oh my
so that
god.
was really weird, and so I was working with this editor named Molly, and so
Wow.
then my sister started asking me about, like, the building where I was living because it was called Brittany Hall,
Mm.
and it was built in
After
the
Britney
20s.
Spears.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like her, for sure, but and, like, it was a really old building and, like, in the you had, the roof, um, what's it called? Penthouse was,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the study rooms, and so you could go in there and they had, like, the bookshelves from the, Prohibition era, so, like, they were had, like, fake backs and stuff where you could, like, hide alcohol and stuff, so they had all
Mhm.
that, so it was from that era, and so my sister was asking me, like, "What's the history of the building?" And then I found out that there was a ghost through that, named
Wow.
Molly. This is
Oh
why
my
I mentioned
god.
everything. And so I realized that I've been blasting this song that said, "I love Molly Ringwald," and I was like, "I have been calling her this entire
You
time."
had. Oh my
Um,
god.
and so I got really freaked out about it, and I went to, like, buy a crystal, not this one, that's another we'll get to that in a second. Um, and so I bought a protective crystal, and then, um, one of the things I think, like, Molly left me alone a lot in the beginning was so she was a little girl who fell down an elevator shaft while her, like, father was doing construction on the building,
Wow.
because he had, like, a little, like, playroom for her, and she wandered out and then just, like, fell, and her body was never found, and the laundry rooms were in the basement, and, like, it had a really bad energy,
Oh,
and,
poor girl.
um and so her whole thing is, like, she wants to try to find a friend, so she usually comes out if there are, like, a lot of people in a room, like, she'll try to join in and, like, you'll hear her laughter and stuff, so at one point, I'm talking to my mom on the phone, and, um, I hear this, like, rhythmic ticking sound that's like, "Tick, tick, tick, stop, tick, tick, tick," and I think it's, like a random, like, I don't know, like, appliance or something on the ceiling because I have, like,
Mm,
fire things
yeah.
and so I tried, like, looking and I see if, like, it's like a light that's doing something, so I'm trying
Yeah,
to
and
figure out.
having no roommates, oh my god, I'd
Yeah,
be
so
terrified.
I can figure out, like, what to tell my RA and stuff, and so I stand under one, it's, like, coming from right over my head, and then it feels like it moves, and so it moves, and I keep going down the hall, and then I'm at the edge of my dorm, and it's, like, going even further out the hall, and I'm like, "This is kinda weird, I should go get my RA," so I go out, I grab my keys, and I go out into the hall, still making the thing, still feels like it's moving down the hall, and then it finally stops, and I turn around, and I'm right in front of the elevators. So I think this bitch wanted me to jump, I swear.
Oh my god,
And
Marya.
so I got really, really scared at that, and then, like, I had a friend over, and I was like, "Listen, we don't mention the name Molly in this building," and we got into the elevator, and the elevator starts shaking right around the
Oh
5th floor because I
no.
think that's, like, where it happened. And, my friend just said, "Molly, no," and the elevator stopped shaking. And so I was like, I gave you one command
Oh my
and you didn't do it."
god.
And so I think that's when I kind of got into, like, crystals, white
Wow.
sage and stuff, and
Mm.
so, like, for my job, when I went back, like, a part of my job was to go into the basement and, like, check and make sure that the crypt was all secure and everything, and that was really scary, and so, like, my friends were like, "Oh, yeah, I, like, call my brother while I'm doing that," and I'm like, "I don't have a brother, so I have a crystal," and so that's what I use. Um
I don't have a brother. I have a crystal. Lol, same.
Right? And so, yeah, I think that was, like, probably the scariest, I think, that I've had, and I don't know, I'm, like, very freaked out because I love architecture, but architecture usually means ghosts, and
Ooh,
so it's
that's
like
so true. I love Victorian architecture, but those houses are usually like from the Victorian times.
mhm,
So all those John Mulaney Victorian ghosts,
right,
they're really old. Yeah.
right? So I think that's, most of mine that I can think of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like you started off with like college campusy type
Mhm,
ghost stories. And I feel like every college campus, no matter what or like how old the college is, sort of has those like legends or like campus, mythologies. But I feel like our college in particular had a lot of like historical ghosts. They
yeah,
weren't just like students are sad.
yeah,
But I definitely feel like our college had a lot of those kinds of stories.
mhm,
But I also think like certain people are more prone to certain energies and like certain people, I don't know. It depends on like how open you are to experiences, but also like sometimes ghosts and things are more attracted to certain types of people. So I think you
mhm.
might be one of those types of
I think I
people.
attract those, yeah.
I don't think I do. I am really open to it, but for me, because it is like scary, I
Mhm,
feel like I try to be as respectful as possible. Like if
yeah,
you are at rest, I want you to stay restful.
exactly, yeah,
I do not want to disturb. I want to quietly walk through the world, disturbing the least amount of spirits as possible. So I feel like because I try and put that energy out,
yeah.
they know to sort of like stay away from me because I'll get super scared.
Well, I think it's, like, the thing for me is I think over time, like, with all the experiences that I've had, I'm sure there's something else that I'm forgetting right now, but, like, I think it's, like, I've gotten to the point like, I think poltergeists are different than, like,
I think that's
regular
true.
ghosts, but I think, like,
Yeah.
regular ghosts don't wanna, like, cause you harm.
Yeah.
I think it's just, like, that they're trapped,
Yeah.
and so it's more that, like, I feel bad about it than, like, I'm scared, like, it just makes me very sad, and so, like, I'm very, like, scared about, like,
Yeah.
violent deaths because I think that's just, like, so much trauma for, like,
It is.
soul
Yeah.
to take, and so it more makes me sad than scared, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is sad.
I also
But
had a nightmare one time that my roommate died, and then she continued haunting me until I
yeah.
found her murderer.
Oh, sad. Because I also take nightmares very seriously.
Mhm,
And I do definitely believe there's a difference between like poltergeists and ghosts and spirits of like actual people.
mhm,
Um, I don't really think I've had like ghost experiences per se. I don't know. I guess I would say like I have like relatively supernatural experiences, but um, so for me, all my friends recently have said that my house is haunted, and I don't think it's haunted. But if it is, I think it's just haunted with my relatives, and so like we're cool, and they only bug our friends who stay in our house. They don't really bug us. But
interesting.
that being said, um, the reason I'm sort of scared and also like try to be as respectful as possible because I do believe in stuff like that. I try to be respectful. Like there are people who believe in it, and then because of that, they sort of just like get really nosy and like
Yeah,
they'll seek those stuff out. They'll like go to like haunted houses or like they'll go to haunted spaces and like trespass on property and like
yeah, I don't
try
believe
and
that.
stir up something. And that I don't
Yeah,
do. I feel like that's, if someone's at rest, they should stay at rest or like,
exactly.
leave them to deal with their trauma.
Mhm,
But I do take nightmares very seriously, and I've always had like sleep paralysis and like lucid dreaming and stuff like that.
mhm,
And so Usually like I'll have bad sleeps like that when I'm super stressed or something like that, but um I've known a lot of people in my life to have uh dreams where they're able to like foretell really bad things happening or to see
Mm.
signs
Mm.
where bad things happen. I do see a lot of signs. Some of it is that like it's like what's that called? It's like confirmation bias
Mm.
where I'm like, it could go either way. But I also one of my friends, her friend, um, from like a group she was a part of in college, she had a dream of like a mutual friend she had with someone, or sort of like a, like a friend of a friend.
Mhm.
She just had a random dream one time during college where she dreamt that they got hit by a bus or some like tragic, brutal death.
Oh my god.
And because she was such a spiritual person, she literally like reached out to this guy and was like, "Hey, I just like please don't leave your dorm today. Just like please be very careful. Like I had this dream. I take dreams very seriously. And like I had a dream that you died. So just like be careful, don't leave." Like she literally like went home to her family and like did like a ritual to like protect him and
Oh
like
wow.
try and negate any of this bad energy that came to her in her dream. And he's still surviving.
Yay.
He's still here. Nothing bad happened. He did leave his apartment to get food, apparently, um, but was fine. But she like had this premonition and like took it very seriously. And I have a lot of friends whose like moms have dreams and like they'll dream someone dies and then that person will die in like a week.
Mm.
Um, and so I've definitely like surrounded with people who like also believe in that sort of stuff and like acknowledge that type of energy. But um I don't know, it is tricky. Sometimes it's like
Yeah.
it is your own brain, but also sometimes it's like I feel like sometimes I feel like I have to respect what I'm being told.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's like I don't remember. I feel like I've definitely had dreams where I saw people die or something and then something bad did happen. I think it's like sometimes it's just like weird things.
Yeah, because
Like I
also
had this
sometimes it's
one.
like stress, and so you don't know if it's just like
Mhm.
hormones in your brain or, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had this one dream. Um, like it wasn't. I don't know. It was like awkward. I like was having a bad day, and I was in like a bubble bath, and I called you, and you came over with your dog,
Aw.
and you're just hanging out with me while I'm in the bath, and then you were like, "This is awkward because I thought you really needed to be cheered up," and so you threw me a grad party while I'm in the bath, and everyone came into my bathroom, and your dog is just there. And the next day, you asked me to watch your dog.
Oh my God, that's crazy that you had a dream about my dog. Aw, I love that. Um, Aw, that's amazing. But that's a
Please
good
don't,
experience.
please don't throw me a grad party in my bathtub.
Yeah, no. But aside from dreams, like I think like I definitely like birds are a big like superstitious thing and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Some little signs. And my mom's very superstitious. I feel like that's big in Bolivian culture. But I have had like bad sleep paralysis situations where I do feel very like moved to get out, and it's a very like I'm in danger
Mm.
instinct where I don't know, anyone who's experienced sleep paralysis knows how horrible it is and how it feels. Like it feels like I know what it feels like to be stuck in a coma, and I don't want to say that because of sleep paralysis, getting stuck in a coma is one of my worst fears. But
Mm.
um it's like your body feels dead and your brain is like trying to escape that feeling and it can't.
Mm.
But actually there is my most terrible experience with sleep paralysis happened in this room.
Oh.
um I was watching the West Wing. I think I actually told our friend Nora this story recently too, but the room looked completely different. But I did like I feel productive very based on the environment I'm in. So I during my junior year of high school, I did a lot of homework in my guest room in this room. Because also there gets a lot of light, if I get sun, sometimes I'm happier.
Mhm.
But I would always do my homework kind of late. So I was like trying to do my calculus homework while I was watching The West Wing in the background. And I like took a nap because I took a lot of naps in high school because I went to sleep at like midnight and had to get up at like 6:15 or 6. I think I left by 6:15. But oftentimes if I was sleep deprived, like my mind would be so anxious that it couldn't fall asleep, but my body was so exhausted that it would be asleep. So that's how
Mhm.
it would happen. But I was like laying on my side, and in the I usually when I have sleep paralysis, I'm in my dream, I'm in the same room and position that I am in real life of where I'm
Mhm.
sleeping. And I'm usually trying to get out of bed and I can't. And in my dream, like I think I do it and I try really hard to do it and it feels very hard physically. And then I remember that I'm sleeping and that I haven't actually made the progress that I made and I'm still stuck.
Mm.
And then it sort of like repeats itself. But in this particular dream, I was like, I couldn't really see that well in my dream. And always in sleep paralysis, I try to scream and I can't.
Mm.
Happens every time. And they don't always happen in the same room that I'm sleeping in, but most of the time they do. But this time I was on my side and I could tell that I couldn't really turn around, but I could feel something coming in through the door and coming
Mm.
towards me on the side of the bed that I wasn't facing. Um, and it just felt so sinister and dark. And when I have sleep paralysis, there's usually not another figure in the room,
Mm.
but I felt that. And it felt so terrifying and it came so close. And then I don't remember how I actually woke up, but I remember after having woken up, I like turned and got out of bed, like ran down the hall. I couldn't tell if I was screaming or not. But I just like it was like 10:30 at night, so it wasn't even that late. My parents were watching TV and I was just like I didn't even know what I said, but I was just like, "Oh my god, like I just something terrible happened."
Mhm.
Like I had a terrible dream. And then to bring it full circle, my mom was like, "Ugh, of course you had a bad dream. It's because you watch all that supernatural TV shows, all those
Mhm.
crazy monsters. Like you shouldn't watch that. It's
Oh.
bad influence." And I was like, I was watching The West Wing. It's about politics.
And isn't that the biggest horror story of them all?
Right? Republicans.
Mhm.
But that was really bad. And I was just like super stressed out in junior
Yeah.
year, especially while I was still taking um I was taking like I think I was taking BC calculus.
Oh my gosh,
And I
yeah.
ended up going down to AB calculus
Yeah.
after
Before
a few
I
months.
started, I was like, "No."
Yeah. So it's just like a really stressful time and it was weird. Um, but yeah, that was like the first or like the most intense time where I like felt a really negative presence in my dreams of like a
Mm.
figure, where it's usually just like my own anxieties that play out in my dreams, not some like weird third party, you know?
Yeah.
So that really freaked me out. Um, yeah, but I
How do you
definitely
feel
like
now?
just with the feeling of sleep paralysis and like having your consciousness and your soul feel so separate from your body is just like a terrifying feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure my mom's had sleep paralysis before. And one of our close family friends in Bolivia, um, the daughter and the mom both have had terrible, terrible sleep paralysis their whole
Mm.
life. And it's just, oh, the experiences they've had just are terrifying. But I mean, we're all here, we're all fine.
Yay.
But I definitely if I feel a bad omen, like I definitely take it seriously. Like I don't just
Mhm.
like carry on about my day as planned. Like I'll usually like avoid things and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's just the feeling is so dark and it's hard to think that that feeling comes out of nowhere, like it comes from
exactly.
something.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like they're just skeptical people, and I don't really understand how.
And also sometimes it's like if they just like don't experience it themselves, it's hard for them to believe that it's
Mhm.
true. And I definitely feel like there are some people that make up stories for the attention and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Or they'll elaborate a story more than it is, or
Mhm.
they'll just like have a histrionic personality and just like lie a ton. But I do think there, I think there's a lot of truth to those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my mom believes she's not seen ghosts, but like ghostly things have happened where like
Mhm.
things have moved and stuff like that.
See, I think that's the thing is like I don't think I've ever seen like a spirit. I think it was more like I heard it or like
Yeah.
I saw like a sign or something.
Yeah.
There a
But
spirit?
also, because here's the thing, when I was younger, I'd get spooked a lot by sounds.
Mhm.
But my dad would tell me, like, our houses are built of wood, and wood changes uh, size and like adapts based on temperature. And the temperature is constantly changing all throughout the day, and also at night, it cools down. And so, all the creaking and stuff is you're just hearing the wood sort of expand and contract. And so it's not actually like there's a scientific reason behind things. But yeah, so
That's
I
so
remember
cool.
like once I learned that as a kid, I was just like did not care. I was like, I have no worries.
I think it's also, like, I don't know, I would always tell myself, like, especially if I watch something scary or something, and, like, some people think, like, if you are thinking about, like, a
Yeah, like
spirit
you
or
can
something.
attract that if
But
you're
I
not
feel like
careful. Yeah.
I would do, like, a thing where it's like, "Okay, before I watch this thing, I was living life in ignorance, and nothing has changed now except that I've watched this thing and then I'm scared." And so,
Yeah.
like, nothing else has changed, and I feel like that would calm me down.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And also there is like we are recording at night. There
Mhm.
is a different energy in the nighttime. And also I feel like being alone versus being with people, like that shift in energy does make a difference.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think it's kind of comforting to think that you're never truly alone. But I also having a dog is like real nice because also dogs can be sensitive to those kind of
Oh,
things.
yeah, yeah.
So I feel like it's nice to have a protective
Sorry.
force in the
That
house.
was me hitting my mic.
But yeah, I've heard a lot of friends have like technological interferences and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But for my mom and any older people I know that have had like sort of experiences, it's always been like things moving or like hearing things. There's been a few people who like I've had friends who stayed over and been like multiple people who don't know each other. Or maybe I just like have a lot of friends who like ghosties.
Mhm.
But I've had multiple friends say like I like heard something in the night while you were sleeping, or like I felt something in the room, or I felt
Mm.
like a bad energy, or not a bad energy, but like a I shouldn't be here energy.
Oh, interesting.
Um, and then my mom has had friends, or we've had tenants who like have heard doors opening and closing,
Mm.
or one of our tenants was like asked my mom if she came in and checked on her during the night and like opened the door and like closed it to like see if she's okay. And I was like, no, I didn't do that. I was
Mm.
asleep. Like I wouldn't do that. And or friends who were staying that were like, oh, we heard the front door open and close. So I went
Oh.
downstairs to see who had come in because a lot of people had been coming in and out that day and there was no one there.
Mm.
And she told that to my mom. And I remember having her in the house, and I was in the bathroom, like downstairs with the door closed. And I heard the door open and like someone come in through the hallway and then go back out and close the door.
Mm.
Um, During that same time. So I heard that what she heard, I heard,
Oh, wow.
and I didn't learn about what she heard um, until like a year or two later. And
Oh.
I always thought like someone had come in, forgotten something, and left.
Mhm.
But apparently she had like come down to check and there
Oh,
hadn't been anybody.
interesting. I thought you
So
said something about, like, your printer or something too.
I have
At
no
some
idea.
point
Oh
you
well,
told me.
I feel like printers always make weird noises at weird times
Mhm.
unprompted.
Yeah.
Is that not a thing?
I think that, yeah, just the
I feel
printer.
like that's just normal technology failing
Mhm.
us modern people.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like a good energy in my house. And it's only been people who aren't us, like aren't my family, who've been like, your house is haunted. So if it
How
is
do
just like
you
my dad or my grandma haunting my house, I'm like, they have a good judge of character. So like they can do whatever
Mhm.
they want, you know?
They haven't bothered me, which is nice.
Yeah.
Well, like, how do you greet a ghost? Because, like, I learned now that you, like, do the hand thing
You do a
for
hand thing.
dogs, and so I'm
Oh,
wondering how
to
you would
greet a
do.
dog. Yeah, I don't know if you can or have to greet ghosts. I think
Mhm.
they greet you first. I don't
Oh.
know. I don't know the protocol. But
Oh.
one time my mom was like, "Oh, I think your dad's ghost like ate some brownies because I know you wouldn't eat that many brownies." And our tenant wasn't home today. And I was like, no, I just ate all the brownies.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
But I feel like that was just my dad's ghost speaking through me. And he was the one who made me eat all the
You were
brownies.
possessed just briefly.
Right? No, but I don't know. I definitely like, I don't know. I'll feel good energies and stuff. But I don't know if I've been to a place like a haunted place where I felt such a strong energy
Mhm.
that like I wasn't related to or knew anything about. Or if I felt a bad energy. I actually, okay, so recently I visited Governor's Island in New York City,
Mm.
um, which I had walked across the Brooklyn Bridge and pointed to an island, and I was like, "Hey, do you know what island that is?" to my friend, and she was like, "Oh, I think that's Ellis Island." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I totally forgot about Ellis Island." It was not. It was not Ellis Island. It was the Governor's Island. And so me and my cousin visited, and we learned a ton about the history. And it's like 80% of the buildings or something like that are like abandoned. They're like old army barracks that just like no one has lived in like decades,
Mhm.
and very spooky because there were just tons of really huge buildings that you could look into, and it's all just like abandoned, decapitated, not decapitated, I don't know what the phrase is, but dilapidated, I have no idea.
Mm.
But like there was an old movie theater that hadn't been used, there was like old churches and old houses. So I definitely felt interesting vibes there, but then I was like, maybe I'm getting a little bit too nosy and I should stop. But we did end up uh, running into this, like the houses that were meant for like army families at the time that were like built, and they're like pretty and stuff like that, but they hadn't been lived in years. And just during that month that we were visiting, um, they had turned all of the houses, like this row of houses, into art exhibits. So
Mm.
they had taken like modern sculpture artists and they had like let them use each room and like create like, I don't know what kind of art, like what it's called. Um but like I mean I can show you photos. I took a lot of photos. But they were sort of like, it's almost like performance art. There would like be videos playing and like they'd put up sculptures and like um I don't know if they're weird paint. It's very hard to describe. Oh my god, I have to show you pictures. It's very hard to describe, but it's very like a new age art. Like um it's like the whole thing, it's not just like a painting, but like the whole thing is the
Mhm.
art piece.
Interesting.
Um and there's one, like there was a room that we walked into where it was like sort of like an early 90s grungy bedroom, with like there were like magazines on the floor, and then on the wall there was like a projection of like dancing TikToks on a loop
Mm.
projected, and there were all these like really fun lights and stuff, and uh like hanging neon things and like random words written in places, and there was like a neon light of a evil eye.
Mm.
And my cousin tried to take a picture of it with her phone. It was a normal phone with like 50% battery, like totally fully charged, good to go. And it immediately shut off before she tried to take the picture.
Oh,
So she was like, oh my God, I had an experience,
that's
guys.
interesting. Yeah, I
And
have evil eyes on my desk.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but
but yeah,
it's
very
super
interesting. I
interesting.
definitely felt intense vibes from those houses.
Mhm.
Um, but they also like played really creepy noises, and there were
Mm.
the portions that weren't used for the exhibits were like not locked, but they were like, do not open door, do not go
Mm.
up the staircase. And I was just like, no one's fucking here. I'm going to go there or
Mm.
open that door. A lot of them were just closets, but a lot of them were really cool. Um, I didn't go up any staircases I wasn't supposed to, just because I was like, these buildings are old. Maybe it's not like safe to go on that
Mhm.
wood, but it was very, it was weird. It was like this tiny little suburban town on this grassy island, like 5 minutes away from the city. So it was really cool, like
Mm. Yeah.
escape. It actually, the architecture reminded me a lot of Colonial Williamsburg in Virginia. So
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I
spooky
have to think
vibes.
like because I forgot to talk about, I think just like Colonial Williamsburg in general is just very spooky.
Yeah.
Um, and there's like the Peyton Randolph building, which is like the most one of the most haunted
Which
buildings
one
in.
was the Randolph building?
It's like the reddish house. Like I think it's either right before the courthouse or right after.
Oh, okay.
But it's one of the haunted because they had so many enslaved people,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so um so I had to go there for class, and so I put my crystal on, and I'm like getting ready to go, and then my crystal breaks in half. And
Wow.
so usually when a crystal breaks in half, it's like because it's overcome with dark energy, and like breaking is the last final straw it can do to like warn you that something bad is afoot
Wow.
and stuff. And so that was really scary. Um, Nothing really bad happened, but like yeah, I mean it was just like a really creepy house, and like people were talking about how like light switches went on and off on like their ghost tours and stuff. But I think what you were talking about, like with the Governor's Island, I think there was also like, do you know the like jail that was like converted to like an art house or something nearby? Do
Oh,
you know what I'm
in
talking
near
about?
where we live, yeah, I
Yeah,
pass it sometimes on the way to driving to the
yeah.
college.
Because I feel like that always gives me like weird vibes too, and
Yeah,
I feel like it's just so
yeah,
weird because it's like a previous jail, and then now it like you can do like they
yeah.
have
I
comedy
feel like
events.
any sort of physical space where a lot of like suffering takes place
Hmm.
always carries that energy.
And then they do like, or on Halloween they do like an escape the jail. Like, and it's just like, no,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
no,
That's
no.
the thing though, like I feel like a lot of things on Halloween are fun. I feel like mostly what I end up doing is like just watching movies
Hmm.
with friends and stuff. But like specifically like haunted houses and like those kinds of things, always I'm just like, no.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't wanna, no, no.
exactly,
I'm not gonna rustle any
exactly.
feathers. I loved Haunted Hayride though, because they
Mm-hmm.
would have like skeleton people and skeleton like onesies come and like try and spook you. And all like the teens would try and like high five them and I would high five them sometimes. And I was like, oh my God, so hip.
I
But
watched this video on TikTok of someone getting scared in a haunted house, and like his friend fell um when someone like jumped out.
ooh.
And so I think he heard the fall, and it was like dark, and he was trying to like carry her out of the room, but he accidentally carried the performer.
Oh my God.
Which I
Wow.
love.
Because there's also like you sign things where they're like performers are allowed to touch you to scare
Mhm,
you, but you're not allowed to touch them. And I'm like, I feel like most people have the instinct to just like, if you're touching me, dude, I'm gonna punch you.
mhm.
So it's hard to resist that urge to protect yourself. But I'd much rather get scared just by watching a movie. So
Right, right.
yeah,
Um,
but
would
I
you
don't
like
know.
to do a Mad Lib?
Sure.
Close out. This is the night of the living Mad Libs.
Oh my God, so topical.
Okay. Silvana, could you give me a person in the room so you can choose
No,
Marsha or Wolfgang, your
let's
pimples?
do Marsha,
Okay.
which can also be Marsha from the Brady Bunch, just in case you need an actual human.
And then noun, I'm gonna do um flower. Could you give me a noun?
A noun, tampon, because I'm actually balancing my computer on a tampon box right now.
Wow. I thought
Very
you were gonna say
professional.
balancing on a tampon. And I was like, what up?
On a
Serious.
singular tampon.
um, and then I have another noun. Um, I'll do melatonin because that's next to me.
OMG.
Can you give me another noun?
A noun. Um, knees.
Mm.
I've been watching a lot of Grey's Anatomy, so I went to like the anatomy route, but
An adjective. I'm gonna do dusty Could you give me an adjective?
Floral.
Ooh,
I went for a very floral vintagey vibe for
ooh,
the aesthetic of this room.
very
So
nice. Adjective. I'm gonna do um peppy. Could you give me a noun?
dog,
Ooh, I'm gonna do a noun. Flip flop. Could you give me a noun?
earwax.
Ooh, and I do verb. I'm gonna do hopscotch. Is that even like a
Oh
verb?
yeah, that's a verb. To
Could you give me an
hopscotch.
adverb?
Noticeably.
No. Noun. I'm gonna do panda. Can you give me an adjective?
Adjective. Ostentatious.
Ooh.
Austin Powers.
Can I do an adjective? I'm gonna do bright. Could you give me a number?
7.
Can I do a
What's in the
noun?
box?
I'm gonna do
What's in the
bonnet.
box? That
Could
is
you
a
give me
reference to a
a
movie I've never seen.
Could you give me a past tense verb?
Past tense verb. Scandalized.
Ooh. Okay. This is called a rare medium. The sign read, Madam Marcia, have your flower told today. Taking a deep tampon, I opened the melatonin and went inside. In the
Her
center of
uterus.
in the center of the room, seated behind a large knee, was the madam. She was a dusty woman with dark floral eyes and a
Same.
peppy smile on her dog.
Aw.
She was dressed in a large flip-flop and wore ear wax wrapped around her head. She motioned me to hopscotch down as she stared noticeably into her crystal panda. An ostentatious look came over her bright face. She told me something I didn't want to hear. If you want your fortune told, it's $7. I leapt out of my bonnet and scandalized out the door.
Scandalized out the door. Ooh, I definitely, okay, so here's the thing. I definitely believe in psychic
Me
things
too.
and abilities, but
Mhm.
if a psychic is charging you money,
Mm,
chances are it's not real.
that's
That's
true.
my code of conduct when it
That's
comes to
true.
psychics. So I don't know. I do read tarot cards, but I would never for the life of me touch a Ouija board. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. No, no, no.
That's the
Never,
energy I do not want
never,
to attract. I
never.
don't even want to say the word,
Yeah.
even though I
Mm.
did.
And then,
But
they last time I went to Hot Topic, which I don't even remember, it was, like, pre-pandemic,
yeah,
um
I don't even go inside malls anymore. So
but it's like they had a supernatural branded Ouija board, and it's like, "Do you watch the show?" Like, why would you?
yeah. Well, it's also interesting because I feel like the 2010s was when uh like Hot Topic sort of transitioned from like just music culture and like band tees to like
Mhm,
also fandom tees and like all sort of like merchandise type stuff.
mhm.
And like they would sell like Doctor Who things and like anime stuff as well. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's something that was always a thing, but it's something I definitely noticed only happening in the 2010s. So
yeah, yeah.
I was also like scared of Hot Topic for my pre middle school years. So
I feel like I wasn't afraid of Hot Topic, but I was afraid of Spencer's.
oh, Spencer's was scary. I had a friend who
Mhm.
made me go into Spencer's once because she wanted to buy an earring, and I was like, I do not want to pretend that I fit in here.
No, my mom went into Spencer's to buy me a Led Zeppelin shirt for Christmas one year.
Oh my god.
Um, but I think it's ironic because I think the scariest store of them all was definitely Claire's.
Oh
Because
yeah.
you
I
just get
mean,
to
that
watch,
was the only
like,
store that you could like get
preteens.
physically injured in, you
Yeah.
know?
When you get, like, the, like, high schooler
I mean,
behind
they
the
had like
counter to punch a
15-year-old
hole.
kids poking permanent holes into people, you know? That's the
Yep.
true horror of this
Mhm.
episode.
Yep.
But anyways, sending everyone positive energy.
Ooh,
Hope you enjoyed this episode, this
two-parter.
follow-up to last week. Um, yeah.
Good energy. Ooh.
Woo! Woo woo.
Bye,
Anyways,
everyone.
goodbye.